Uh, Hi, everyone. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. Welcome, June 16th, 2021, 5 p.m. Pacific, or actually 10 minutes, 4:50 p.m. Pacific right now. Coming in early to take your questions live for our Q&A session that we do every week for over a year now. And we've also added the fun part of free consultation giveaways, 15-minute free video consultations. Usually it's three a session, a Q&A session, but we're doing a 40-minute one, so we're going to do 4 of them. All you got to do is be here. Every 10 minutes, we announce a winner. What you have to do to get involved in that raffle is to like, subscribe, and leave a comment on all the social media, wherever you're watching, whether it be LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube pages, and TikTok. And then if you're chosen, take a screenshot so I know that that profile is yours, and we'll take from there. Feel free to send out your questions for our general immigration discussions that we're going to have here, educational purposes, not intended for individual legal advice. And people are starting to trickle in, and we're going to start getting the questions. So with that, let's get it started. All right, so there's a lot of news before we get to questions about U.S. immigration, what exactly is happening, what is it. There's a lot of moves that are beginning to happen from the Biden administration, a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. For example, giving back power to immigration judges so they can make decisions on their docket, which means if there's a case they don't want to deal with now, or they don't deem it appropriate to just kick someone out right now, they can put on hold, giving them more power to make decisions they need to make, which is a big deal. There's an update on the U visa category. And in particular, getting the work permit faster because of the huge delays that were existing there. Expedites potentially are going to get a little bit, I don't know, easier, but more understanding if you're trying to expedite your case. We'll see how that happens. There's an issue of just not having enough manpower in the system to be able to handle the volume of cases that come in. So that really pushes things back and creates a lot of problems with trying to do stuff faster at all. But these things are happening. Even in Los Angeles, and the question I always get is how long cases take. One of my colleagues filed a citizenship case, naturalization for M400, and the interview was scheduled 3 months after filing. I'm seeing stuff like that happen, although most cases take 6 months, a year. It does pop up as to the reality is cases happen fast sometimes. But on the downside, the bad side, the U.S. Embassy system is a whole mess. A lot of them are still closed, not scheduling most types of interviews, whether immigrant visas or non-immigrant visas. Some do, some don't. Some do certain categories. So you just is a mixed bag of unexpected stuff going on in the U.S. immigration system that you got to be prepared for. But hey, that's what we're dealing with, and that's the kind of questions, generally speaking, we're going to answer here. So we have our first question, Aluwaretumi Fawahinmi. I hope I'm saying that wrong for sure, but you're a regular. I've seen your name before. Asking, how long can you stay outside the United States if you're a U.S. citizen? Well, for immigration purposes, you can be outside for as long as you want. You can never come back to the United States. That's fine. That's it. So now there's tax consequences when you're a U.S. citizen and you're living overseas. You may still have to file U.S. taxes. You should talk with an accountant about that. Or let's say you are filing for someone, a relative, a parent. You're a U.S. citizen. You're filing for your parents' green card, a spouse's green card, children, brother and sister. Well, at the end of the stages of that case, before they're allowed to get their green card, you as the petitioner, the person who started the green card case for them, have to be domiciled in the United States. And so that domicile requirement becomes an issue if you're not living here. But there is no standard, there is no rule that says a U.S. citizen has to live in the United States. The big issue just really comes about taxation, but that's about it. So I hope that question helped. We have another question. Aluwaretimi follows up. You said my name right. Well, God bless you. Thank you so much. I was about to say it wrong, repeating it, but let's go to the next question. Mohammed asks, do you think I should bring a lawyer to my marriage green card interview? Would it help? Well, that's very case specific because some couples just have it down perfectly and they don't have to have a lawyer. But general is this: if you could afford to have an attorney with you at an interview, it's better to have it. You want to have an advocate by your side. You never know what kind of government agent you're going to deal with. Most of them are pretty reasonable, but there are a few very, very unreasonable ones, and you want to be there to be able to protect yourself. So that's that. Now, your case may be, and I give that option to my clients because there are additional fees for that. If I sense the case is really strong and the applicants, the couple who are going to the marriage interview are very confident, they speak well, there's no misunderstandings, their English is okay, they don't have any criminal history or arrest history or shady or complicated things that they express, I say, hey, go ahead if you like. Without an attorney, that's okay, and does work out fine. I have to judge the case. So, Mohammed, I don't know your case. I don't know your background. I don't know you and your spouse's ability to handle yourselves in a high-stress situation. Everyone does it differently. I've had people who've been commandos in the military, have no fear, but then we talk about going to an immigration officer interview for a green card, and they get nervous. And when you get really nervous, sometimes you look kind of shady. You're looking around, like, is this guy lying or not? The applicant. So it really depends on your case. But if you have the money, bring a lawyer. And then there's different kinds of lawyers. There's lawyers that could help you, and there's lawyers that could hurt you. If you get a lawyer that's going to go in there and argue with the officer for no reason and instigate them and get them annoyed, then that's not a good lawyer to bring. You want to have someone who's amenable, could talk with them, joke around, kind of smooth the edges, maybe know what's going on in the office. There's a lot that goes into that. The short answer is, if you can afford it, yeah, take a lawyer. Why not? And then just make sure it's a lawyer you have confidence in, who handles themselves well in a setting with an immigration officer, doesn't have a bad reputation. You don't want to get a case messed up just because they don't like the lawyer or something like that. But that's fewer and far between. But it's nothing wrong, and I see some even lawyers say this, I would say mistakenly, in a very negative sense. I was mistaken, but they're saying, oh, it's a red flag if you're being a lawyer. That's just not the case. So thank you for your question. Lemon Juice asks, what kind of investigation does USCIS do for the application? They investigate home country too. Well, there's not much of an investigation that happens. I mean, there's automatic background checks that happen to see if you're coming up in any systems with arrests or in your names involved in any databases. But if there's, it depends on your case. So, for example, if you got your case through marriage and they doubt your marriage, they may go back and analyze some of that. So, or you come from a country where, there's maybe terrorism or military stuff that's kind of like bad or something like that, then they're going to look into that. So it really depends on your case. It's not something I could say, oh, they investigate. It really, there's nothing detail I could give without knowing the individual case. Plus, the government doesn't tell us exactly what they're investigating. I've only seen the consequences of their investigations when they send reports. And so over time, I've developed knowledge of how it works. But it's not something I could just answer what kind of investigation it is. It's really case-by-case specific. Now, a reminder, we're getting questions about how long these things take, how long the embassies are going to take to have this or schedule an interview, or when's my EAD work permit coming. I don't have answers for this work permit, or I don't have answers for this timeline kind of stuff. It's case-by-case specific, and it's extremely inconsistent. One case may get done in 6 months. The exact same case might take a year somewhere else. So I want to be able to answer that. Now, King Moose has a question, any visa statistics out? Where every month, the Department of State issues, one, the visa bulletin, which shows where they are on the line for getting a preference category visa. And secondly, they also issue the number of visas they've issued for that time based on the embassy and the type of visa and the country nationality. All this stuff is at the Department of State. So, there's thousands of points of information. It's not something I can just talk about here. But if you're really interested, check out the Department of State visa statistics, and you'll find it there. Mohammed says, thank you, you're welcome. Just Being Me asks, if you come here on a green card and don't leave when it expires, is that exempt from citizenship? No, if you enter on a green card, it means you have lawful permanent residency. The card itself is not what gives you the power of residency. You already are a resident of the United States. The card is just there to be able to prove it if someone asks for you. It's documented proof. So you could have a green card that expires for 20 years, you don't renew it, you're still a lawful permanent resident. Now, you're supposed to technically always keep a valid green card, renew it, this and that, but they're not going to take away your residency just for not renewing your green card. I've never seen it happen. Now, if you had a 2-year green card, a conditional green card, that's another story. But if you had a 10-year green card and it expires, that's nothing to do with anything. Some field offices, when you apply for citizenship, will require that you renew your green card first. Some don't. And some officers will make a big deal, some won't. So generally speaking, if you're going to file for citizenship, it's better to file Form I-90 and also renew your green card at the same time, because some offices and some agents of the government, some USCIS officers, will not approve it, potentially saying that, oh, you didn't renew your green card. And I've typically been able to get away with it, filing it for citizenship and not having issue if the green card expired. But it is possible. It is a discretionary thing, that a way I've seen it play out. It's never happened to me, but I've heard people have issues with their cases. If they file for citizenship, they didn't renew their green card, they may deny citizenship. So it's better to waste that extra money just to file for the green card to be safe. But thank you for your question. Make Cash now asks, does USCIS officers take your country valid international passport at the end of the marriage-based green card interview in USA to stamp in your green card or through mail? Okay, so you're asking if an immigration officer takes your passport to stamp it, or they mail your green card in the mail. So after you do a marriage green card interview with USCIS in the United States, if it's approved, they mail you the green card in the mail. That's about it. Now, if you're not getting the green card in time and you have emergency need for travel, you could potentially do what's called an info pass appointment at the USCIS field office to get a stamp in your passport as temporary evidence of residency status, so you could travel with that. And that may come up. It's rare, but it does come up. So that's that question. Now we're at 5 p.m. Pacific, so I want to name off our winner. Our raffle winner is Mohammed Torsa. Thank you so much for your good questions. I look forward to having a free 15-minute consultation. Just email me. My email is info@jqqlaw.com. A screenshot of the app you're using and the program you're using to watch this. And so I have your screen name in there so I can know it's really your account, it's not someone else's account. And I'll reply with a link to give you a set up that 15-minute free video consultation so we can talk and more. Now, a quick follow-up to that is if you are doing a marriage green card case, you're interested in one, or a fiance case, and you want to learn more about it, download the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide at marriageimmigrationlaw.com. That's marriageimmigrationlaw.com. It really breaks down the whole process so you have a good understanding of the strategy and what's involved, so that if you do hire an attorney and you go interview with a bunch of different lawyers to see who you want to hire, you'll know who's talking the truth and who's not. And at the same time, you can ask better, higher level questions, avoid the basic questions, get more deeper into your case, and use that time you have with the attorney in a better way. So definitely download that at marriageimmigrationlaw.com. And if you don't have a marriage green card case, you have another type of just in case, a lot of the information there is going to help you anyway. So feel free to download that at that website. There's no one holding you back. But that's that. So the next question we have is from Raymar Quinto. And he asks, so we filed our I-539 extension of our tourist visa on March 25th. Our biometrics was taken 04/22. That's fast biometrics. Our I-94 is valid until June 19th. Why did you file for an extension so early? No update from USCIS. A request for extension granted. So they filed an extension request on a tourist visa rather quickly. So that was kind of weird, but hey, that could be problematic. So I'd have to review your case in private to see what's going on there. You know, it takes a while. Extension of tourist visa cases, and that's why I was surprised that you got your biometrics appointment a month after you filed. Usually it takes 4 or 5 months just to do the biometrics after you request an extension of tourist visa in the United States. And many times it takes more than 6 months for them even to make a decision on the case. So what do you got to do? If you got the biometrics, after that, just wait. Hopefully it doesn't get lost in the mail or notices. Go online and check it out, but you just got to wait. Now, as a follow-up question, can we stay here in the Can we stay here in the USA while working for the result? If our request for extension was rejected, will we be blacklisted for overstaying? Yeah, I mean, you can stay while the case is pending. If it's denied, it's blacklisted is not a technical immigration term, but you will probably accumulate unlawful presence days. As long as there's very few of them, you won't get blacklisted, but you'll need to get a new visa the next time you want to come to the United States. And you want to keep a copy of your filing receipt to show that you didn't just stay willy-nilly. You had an extension pending and file for a new visa. Whether you will get another new tourist visa, well, that's up to the Department of State, the visa embassy that's going to do your interview, whether they're going to accept that or not. But hey, that's a situation we're dealing with right now. You could always try that. I mean, that's about it, I got right there. But I wish you the best in your processing. All right, so next question. I think we have a ton of questions popping up, so let's see who's next. Lemon Juice follows up. For all my immigration journey, your help was great. Thank you so much for this, John. You're welcome, Lemon Juice. God bless. Thank you for your kind words. We have so many good listeners here, and I know I have these free consultations, paid consultations, all this kind of stuff. It's been great. Lemon Juice asks, my N400 interview is coming up, but my home country passport is expired. Should I be worried? No, there's no requirement that you have a valid passport when you're doing your citizenship interview, but you will need ID to get in the building. So take your driver's license, preferably if it's one of those new ID, what are those called? The real ID kind of driver's license. You have to have some form of ID, but it's not a requirement that you maintain a valid passport for citizenship. So that's not a problem. But Lemon Juice, if you have the time, I appreciate a 5-star review. Just type in JQK Law on Google, and my law firm pops up to the right. There's a part for reviews. Just put 5 stars. You don't have to even write anything. It really helps out. I appreciate it. Maycash now follows up. What if USCIS officer didn't tell you congratulations at the end of the marriage-based interview in the U.S., but tells you that we hear from USCIS within 2 to 3 weeks that is approved? Okay, then that's it. You got to wait. There's different ways this happened. The computers break down. The officers need to do extra background checks. There's some paper missing in your file that they need first. So you can't read into it. Just go home and wait and see what the results are going to be. Cedra Oscar, hello. My priority date, that's a green card case that's has a line, is September 2014, EB3. We filed the adjustment of status in October 2020. Received the EAD. Wow, you got to receive the EAD. So this person is probably a employment-based kind of case, and EB3 obviously, they mentioned it. They're getting a green card through work. They started the case. They filed the I-485, that is, that adjustment status green card application in October 2020, and they got their work permit and travel permission. I filed a lot of cases in October. There was a big movement in the visa bulletin, and none of them have got the work permit yet. And so, October, November, December, and then now it's this 9 months now that haven't got work permits for these EB1, EB2, and EB3 category people, all three employment-based categories. Said, I'm really happy you got it. How long ago did you get your EAD? Let me know. But it's so ridiculous that these delays are happening. But he asked, my priority date can't be current to 2021. I did not receive I-693 RFE yet. I-693 is the medical checkup that they're going to ask for. Yeah, you got to be patient. If you haven't got the medical checkup yet, go ahead and do it now, because you're probably going to get the notice sometime soon. But with USCIS and these timelines, who knows? But I would get the medical checkup. It'll be valid for 2 years at time after you get it. So just go ahead and get that and just wait for their notice. But congrats on getting the work permit. It looks like your case is moving forward. I appreciate it, Sejal. Thanks for the question. Just me being me ask, so who is here illegally and could be deported if found? Yeah, I'm that dumb guy. So who is here illegally and could be deported if found? That's just a broad question. I don't have an answer for that. So thank you for your question. I wish you the best. Asif asks, any is if I-94 expired while I send a change status document? I think you're saying you're going to file for change of status. Your question isn't clear, but you're filing for change of status. That means you have some sort of status in the U.S., you're getting a new one, but your I-94 is already expired. Well, usually if your I-94 is expired, you're out of status, so you cannot change status unless they make some sort of exception and forgive it, which is very difficult to do. I wouldn't rely on that. But if your I-94 is already expired, most likely your change of status is going to be denied. Unfortunately, you have to file things in a timely manner. I'm sorry to hear that. So if that's your question, I'm not sure. It's a little poorly worded. Courage asks, if your info pass expires, what next? So info passes don't expire. Info pass is an appointment to go to the government USCIS office to talk about them. So it's not about expiring. Whether you go or you miss your appointment, that's about it. All right, so who's the next person? Make Cash Now follows up. If at marriage green card interview and your spouse forgot your girlfriend's name, who you're living with at the first dinner outing, is it enough to deny marriage? I'm not the person adjudicating this, so I don't know. These questions is getting too much. Make Cash Now, I can't really help you with this kind of stuff. Love Singh asks, I filed my adjustment of status I-485 in October in New York 8 months ago and had my fingerprints 4 months ago. In February, I-485 changed to schedule within the okay, this is Love. It's the same situation I talked about. He hasn't got his work visa yet, EAD, not work visa, EAD, employment authorization document, and advanced parole, same as similar cases. But the case status online says it's changed and ready to be scheduled for interview. That doesn't mean anything. At most, it means that they reviewed your basic documents and didn't find any issues. Your birth certificate was correct. Your adjustment of status application didn't have major holes in it. And then after that, you just gotta wait for them to approve it, and it's not clear when that's gonna happen. Just patience is the key there. So if you ask, after I got my green card 10 years ago, how long can a Social Security office send Social Security number card without the address authorization? I got my card 10 years ago. Okay, so as soon as you got your green card, you should ask the Social Security office to issue a new Social Security card without any DHS writing on it. It should be a Social Security card as normal, just like any American who just has the number. So you got to contact the Social Security office and ask for a new card, saying the old card is not proper because it's going to confuse the hell out of employers. So just go ahead and do that. Ibrahim asks, hi sir, my I-360 is approved. Can I file I-765 in abroad? Well, no. I-360 is to prove you found, you had what it took for that category, but an I-765 is a work permit. And so you have to be in the United States and file the I-765 with an application for adjustment of status. If you're not going to be in the United States to apply for adjustment of status, you can't file for I-765 either. If you're abroad, you have to do what's called consular processing. Eventually, you get the green card if the case is appropriate, and you enter the green card and you start working with that. But you can't file I-765 unless you file I-485, and you can't do I-485 if you're abroad. So based on what you're telling me so far, I don't think that's possible, but maybe there's more to it. Temurik asks, what are the options if adjustment of status interview decision results taking more than 60 days? We can always write a letter to the officer at the field office that met with you and ask what's going on, this and that. Just be polite, like, could you help us? Eventually, if it takes more time, maybe a lawsuit, maybe contacting a congressperson. But I would have, if you haven't had a lawyer analyze your case to see if there were some issues, then the lack of decision making may be one because there's deniable thing inadmissibility going on, or two, maybe the visa bulletin isn't current anymore for your cap case. I don't know. I'd have to know the details of the case, but those are some general options and ideas. Probably first and foremost, you talk with an immigration attorney. Now, I want to announce our raffle winner, lemon_juice678. You won the raffle. Please take a screenshot of yourself watching this, and somehow let your name or lemon juice ID number is there, so I know it's you. And then email that to me at info@jqqlaw.com. It's my law firm email, info@jqqlaw.com. And I'll reply with a link so we can schedule a free 15-minute video consultation. Thank you for watching. And as always, a reminder I want to do for those thinking about marriage green card cases, just download the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide at marriageimmigrationlaw.com. It's the best resource out there, free, I'll tell you. You download it, even if you're not doing a marriage immigration case, download the ebook, and you're like, wow, this guy's giving us free. That's kind of guy. So check it out, marriageimmigrationlaw.com. All right, so next question comes from Tony Magia at 99. Can you apply for a visa if you've been deported before? It's gonna be very hard because if you had deportation, you have certain bans that you have to overcome, and then waivers that you may have to get. So it's not impossible, but it really depends on the details, the whole details of all the case, and really how much money you have to be able to prepare it properly. But it's possible, but a lot of things are possible in life, Sorry, that's not the best answer, but it's the truth. Saj follows up, I received my ED card January 19th. So you got your work of authorization like 3 or 4 months after applying for adjustment of status. God bless, man. That's wonderful, Sajal. Did you do an expedite request or just came normally? That's wonderful. Most people are stuck right now. Those who filed for adjustment of status in October still have not got the EAD. So that's the situation I'm seeing. All right, next question. So Tanji asks, for Andrew citizenship, can I put my parents' address in USCIS address rather than mine? No, you have to put your address if they're asking for your address. So you got to be honest and answer things honestly. Tanji follows up, how long will it take to approve an LCA for H1B relocating at new place? I don't know. I don't handle LCAs. I don't handle those kind of cases. Tony follows up, can my grandma, a resident, apply for her son, 41 years old, that hasn't been deported to get a visa? It depends on what the deportation is for exactly. So, a grandma can apply for her son if the son who's a green card holder can apply for their adult child who's single, and maybe overcome deportation with a waiver. But listen, if they were deported because they're a big-time drug dealer, there's no overcoming that. If they're deported because they did a false claim to citizenship, there's no overcoming that. Now, there may be ways of getting, if you want to come visit on tourist fee, getting a waiver of those to come visit temporarily. But it's hardcore, depends on the details of that case. So it's not something I can answer more than I did right here. You should consult an immigration attorney. Not me, I don't handle cases for good and deported, but that's that. I'll see if as my fiance came on a K1 visa, I got married within 90 days, but due to some financial issues, I could not file for change of status before I-94 expires. So I'll see if, the answer I gave earlier was wrong. There's a unique aspect for the fiance visa case where if you do get married within the 90 days and then you apply for marriage, then it's fine. So you worded things incorrectly. This isn't change of status. Change of status is when you go from one non-immigrant visa category to another non-immigrant visa category. But here, you're going from the K1 non-immigrant visa category to a green card. And that process is called adjustment of status. And if you're married to a U.S. citizen and you're applying for a green card through that route, they're going to waive the mistake of having an expired I-94. So in your case, because you're married to a U.S. citizen within 90 days, you just have to file for I-485, I-864, I-765, I-31, all that extra stuff. Download the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide at marriageimmigrationlaw.com for information. But the expiration of your status is not a problem here. So I was not incorrect earlier. You're using, that's why I have to be detailed terminology. Change of status is not correct. If you were going to change status from some category to, I guess, something else, like student visa or something, you would add a lot. But you're doing adjustment of status, and because your spouse is a U.S. citizen, it's not a problem that your I-94 expired. Maycash now follows up. Maycash now, it's the last one of these hypothetical situations. What if after 8 months of applying for adjustment of status, marriage-based, you're not given an EAD and social security number, and you had gone for interview for law residency? What does this mean to get your state ID? What creates problems? This is actually a good question. It's not, I don't mind Maycash, it's not a bad question. So something that happens is they're delaying getting work permits and travel authorization so much that people are actually getting the green card interview. What does it mean for getting an ID for like a driver's license? Well, it's really bad because you need to have the AD or the green card to get a driver's license. And this person's waiting here, 8 months have gone by. The green card's not issued yet. The work permit's not issued yet. They're stuck without ID or work permit. That's the situation that we're dealing with right now with USCIS and this delay. So that's a really serious issue. I'm sorry to hear that. Hopefully you just get approval of your green card and you get things going. Multic asks, what happens if you don't remember your dates you moved addresses? Well, do your best to give an estimate. That's about as much as I can advise here. Just try to do your best. Amazing asks, any news on the U.S. opening India, waiting for husband interview? No, pretty terrible news from India. Pretty much everything is stalled. It's bad news from India. Ellie asks, because I-485 is denied, the officer said I'm lawful presence, but I can't adjust. I filed a motion to reconsider, rid of my names. Could I get it? No. This is too complex a question to be honest here. There's too much going on, and there's too much. We have a regular 29 Super C. Good night, Attorney Kasrabi. Hope you're safe and well. Did you attend the ALEA Summit meeting last weekend? If so, what was discussed? Thanks. Well, it wasn't last week. It was last week, the full last week. I spoke at the conference. I usually have some sort of panel speaking gig there, but at the same time, I was busy, so I got the recordings. I'm probably going to watch them in the coming weeks. The cutting edge news is reported on a lot of Twitter accounts for immigration lawyers. But it's interesting, always new stuff. It's all online now because of COVID-19. I usually like going in person because I like meeting my colleagues across the country. I'm really active in the immigration lawyers community, so it's always good to meet all these people who I meet digitally in person. I was there. I spoke at one of the conferences about online marketing, talking on video to reach customers and clients. But usually for that, I do more substance stuff, primarily on consular processing in the National Visa Center. But it's always good. It's always good to share information with colleagues, to meet up, and have a good time like that. So thank you for your question, Transfer C. Ibrahim asked, sir, U visa, any news? Yeah, I talked about that earlier, Ibrahim. Good news. They're going to start giving out work permits a little bit better, hopefully. But that's about it. I don't handle U visa cases myself, so I didn't go into the deep weeds of what the exact thing was, but it just make it so that work permits are going to be a little easier to get and administrative processing probably, meaning they won't deport you as pending. Potentially is going to come easier by the immigration judges to hold off on kicking you out. But that's as much as I'm going to talk about here because it's just not my specialty. Tanji asks, I just want to put my parents' address because of some reason I'm leaving my apartment and after 2 months I will. You got to tell them where your address is. Now you put your mailing address wherever you want. So on any application for immigration department, there's almost always a part where it says where you want things mailed to. You can have your parents get the documents mailed to them. But when it comes to this idea that you're not going to put your address, you have to put whatever your address is. That's as much as I can tell. You got to be honest 100%. But again, if you want to have it mailed somewhere else rather than your home address, we'll just put a different address for the mailing address. That's about it. All right, so next question, Lima Balarucci asks, I applied for in January for citizenship ND, so confused about civics test. Just got to study. Which civics test? Just type in USCIS naturalization questions, and the first link that usually comes up, the 100 questions, is it. The civics test, frankly, is the least amount of thing people have to worry about on citizenship. People always freak out about it, but it's the most insignificant part of the test. So just read over the questions, you'll do fine. 29 to receive. Okay, great, Attorney Khosravi, thank you. There's nothing discussed in expediting cases at the U.S. consulate. I didn't catch anything, but realistically, they're not expediting cases. I tried doing them. It's not happening. So many things are backed up. Mohammed bin Rabah asks, I have an asylum case in my hearing on August 16, 2021. I won the green card lottery. What should I do? Can I cancel my asylum case for receiving a green card lottery? No, don't cancel your asylum case for sure. Don't do that. Mohammed, how many questions? I've answered this question pretty much every week. I have a lot of videos on this on my YouTube page. So go to YouTube, JQK Law Firm. I should have clips on this issue of being able to apply for asylum and why you can and can't, all this kind of stuff. I have like 4 or 5 clips of this video. So definitely go check out my YouTube page and explain what you should do. But first of all, do not cancel your asylum case. That's a terrible idea. Make sure you have an attorney. Make sure you're prepared to be able to answer things. Have a session with your attorney, maybe 2. Spend a couple of hours practicing the ins and outs of your case so you know exactly the facts so you don't mess up and say something wrong or get confused in your asylum interview. That's very important. When it comes to whether you can file for green card lottery and stuff, it's a long discussion, which I've had many times. So check out my video history on JQK Clips That's probably a better way to go. I have 2 YouTube pages. So there's JQK Clips, and there's a regular JK page. Regular JK page is long form stuff. The JK Clips has 2 or 3 minute kind of stuff. You'll get your answer there. Now we have a raffle winner, Tony Mejia. Thank you so much, Mejia99, for your questions. Take a screenshot of where you're watching this so I can see that it's your profile. Make sure your name's there, your username. And email to me at info@jqqlaw.com, jqqlaw.com. And I'll reply and we'll schedule a consultation. So we have 10 more minutes left, 1 more free raffle spot going. I had about 6 consultations today. We'll see how far this throat can take me, but we're in the winning stretch or whatever they call it, the final stretch. Let's do it. So next question. Manage follows up. I applied for my adjustment of status EB1C last week. Congrats, multinational manager. I'm from India. My EB1C is when you work for a foreign company and they transferred you to like a branch of theirs in the United States and then apply for your green card. My I-140 is approved. That's good. And I also submitted the I-693, the medical checkout. That's good. But when can I expect my green card? My priority date is December 20th, 2020. I don't have an answer of when you can expect that kind of stuff, just whenever USCIS gets around to it. Tanji follows up. How long will it take to approve a H1B LCA moving to a new place? I told you I don't handle that kind of stuff. So I'm not a good resource for H1B kind of cases. I have a firm I work with. I send them there. Lima asks, they changed 2008 to 2021, but now changed so little confused. But now again, changed so little confused. I'm not sure what you mean they changed 2008 to 2001, so you got to be more specific, but thanks for your question. Beverly asks, hello, I filed for I-539. That's an extension or change of status, which was denied, but good thing I traveled back home before it was denied. What's the next move? Can I travel without any problem? So, this is a complex thing because if you left before your case was denied, if it was denied, they potentially will deny your visa because too. The safe thing to do would be to go and apply for a new visa. Anything is possible. Potentially, you could get on a plane with the existing visa that you had if it's valid, and then at the airport, they could all of a sudden say, no, you can't come in and put you on a plane. Because that risk exists and is very serious. Now, if you're coming from Canada, it's not too bad because you're right here, or maybe Mexico or your neighbor. But if you're flying in from the Philippines, this last thing I want to do is fly all the way to America, just at the airport, say, go back. Because of that risk, I would say apply for a new visa as an appropriate consultant attorney. There's just a little bit of risky kind of stuff going on. Thank you for your question. Marty asks, always an awesome session, John. Thanks. Thank you, Marty. I appreciate that. Very kind words. God bless. Joel asks, is Texas Service Center adjudicating I-751 with that interview? It's not about which service center is adjudicating a case. It depends on the facts of the case. So if you have an I-751 that has all the paperwork and they're confident in the marriage being real, all that kind of stuff, then they're not going to do the interview. So it has nothing to do with the service center. It has all to do with the case itself. So just look at it the right way, and hopefully you had enough documentation and you fill the paperwork well, that you'll be okay. Soxy asks, how long does it take to get the actual green card after your green card interview for I-45? Well, if you're approved on the spot, normally it comes within 1 to 2 weeks. Sometimes post office loses it, takes longer. If you're not approved on the spot, then maybe a week later, maybe 6 months later, maybe you get a denial. So don't know. 29 Super Cs, thank you so much, Mr. Attorney Khosravi. Seth, appreciate it every Wednesday evening. Thank you, 29 Super C. I appreciate you always here asking good questions. We have fans here. It's so nice to have all you aboard. We're about to go through our last raffle, so if you want to get your names in, we'll see what we can do. And as always, download the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide if you're interested in a marriage green card, fiance visa, and green card, or you just want to learn more about the green card process. You're going to find 40 pages of top-notch information that's going to really help you out. We've got addendums there that break down how to do a declaration, practice questions for the marriage green card interview. There's so much going on there, so I think you're all going to enjoy it. All right, maybe you get one more question. If not, I think we might call it a little early. We did start 10 minutes early today, so I want to thank everyone who joined. Kayla, my dear assistant, there's another raffle winner. We'll throw it out right now. If not, I want to thank you for coming. We're here every Friday. Every Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific. Taking your questions live, Q&A here on TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, multiple Facebook pages, multiple YouTube pages, everywhere. And our raffle winner is Multcom 8. If you are watching, take a screenshot to show that account is yours, Multcom 8, and email it to me at info@jqqlaw.com. And we'll do a live 15-minute video consultation. Just give you some tips and ideas of what's going on in the case. And with that, I want to thank everyone. God bless. Be safe. I'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.